What up? It's 92.9 WDUP, New Orleans, home of timeless hip hop and R&B. We got a legend checking in, man. Got Edley, man, from the group Born Jamericans. If you know Born Jamericans and you ain't no hip hop head, man, get out of here. You know what I'm saying? What's going on, Edley? How you doing, man? Thanks for checking in with us, man.
Bro. It's a pleasure to be here tonight, man. Just respect and honor. Big up to all the listeners that's out there in the radio land and on the internet. You don't know the big voice, Edley, Born Jamericans, from the 90s till now.
Yeah, so you got the new record, Grow. Talk about the record a little bit in detail.
So Grow is a record that I put out about the state of dancehall right now, because so many generations have passed since the first time, I dropped the record, which was 1993. So, dancehall has transitioned so many times. And right now, the representation of what's coming out of Jamaica right now, I know it's kind of confusing a lot of people. Maybe the younger people, they're into it and they love it, and that's the youngins. But from my generation of the 90s, it's kind of like, that's not how we grow. That's not exactly the imagery that was instilled in me from my parents. And nothing wrong with it, but I just want to reinstall some of that moral fiber and some of that real Jamaican yardman authentic movement and put that back in the culture a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like back in the 90s when you guys were like, out there being active and everything like that. You say you started in 93. Right. I felt like reggae was like synonymous with rap, like, you know what I mean? Like Madline, yourselves, you know what I mean? Java, it's just like, it feel like rapping, but you just rapping with a Jamaican accent, pretty much, you know what I'm saying? Use your words and stuff like that. Like, absolutely. When did that like change happen? Like, what do you think happened with that?
I mean, basically what happened is when Shabba Ranks ushered in the commercialized sound of hip hop and reggae, you had others before him like Shinehead, you had Just Ice, you had Heavy D, you had a whole lot of artists that dabbled, and a lot of people don't know that reggae is the father to the whole hip hop culture. If you really do your science and do your knowledge, a lot of people beg to differ and think it comes from Black American culture with jazz and all that, but nah. 2 turntables, a microphone, a gold rope, a Kangol, dressing fly, baggy jeans, all of that is Caribbean culture right there. And when it started getting popular, like in the late 70s, with the Black Americans up in the Bronx, and Kool Herc started keeping his parties and everything, that's what invented the hip hop culture, the 2 turntables, the sound system, and all of that. So it's always been connected from day one, but it's always been 2 places, America and Jamaica, dictating that culture.
So like Kool Herc get credited for it, and all much respect to Kool Herc, but he had to hear it from somewhere down there. Like, where did you think, like, kind of school us, where did he get it from? You know what I mean? Down in Jamaica, like, pre-Kool Herc, like, name some, if you can, like, some of the pioneers, with Jamaican music and hip hop and everything.
Man, you had so many. You had the Daddy U-Roys, you had the Prince Busters, you had a lot of, because in Jamaica, they call the MC a DJ. So the DJ is the person that gets on the mic and controls the crowd. When it's transitioned over to hip hop, the DJ became, because of Kool Herc playing the breaks and everything, the DJ became the person on the turntables and the records, and then the MC is the person that was on the microphone. So there was a lot of those, man, and it's a lot of examples of it. I mean, it's a lot of examples of putting words and poetry in Black American culture as well as Jamaican culture. And reggae was really built off of people covering American R&B, but it was mostly back then lovey-dovey singing and all of that. Yeah. When it came to talking about street culture and Budman stuff, me growing up in a Jamaican household, I heard that from reggae and dancehall first. And then when I seen The Message and BDP and all these other rappers start incorporating street culture, it started incorporating itself in hip hop. So it's a long lineage there, but there's still, like I said, a connection at the end of the day.
Hey there, we're here with Edley Shine, Born Jamericans, man. Let's talk about that. Like, how did you get started with Born Jamericans? How did you and Notch link up? Kind of talk about the genesis of that a little bit.
Well, the singer, he moved from Hartford, Connecticut to Washington, D.C. to go to school. I'm originally from DC. All my parents are from Jamaica, before my generation. So I grew up in DC. We met at my father's record store, and he was buying 12 inches, because back then you used to get the song on one side and the instrumental on the other side on the 12-inch. So he was buying these instrumentals, and I asked him what he does. He told me he was a singer, and he's going to this club called Kilimanjaro in DC, which was the big premier dancehall reggae African music club in DC back then in the 90s. So that we linked up. He came to the crib. I had a little DJ set up. I heard his voice. He heard my toasting, my rapping. And he said, "Oh, you dope." And I said, "You dope. You got a dope voice. You know, maybe you should make some songs," because at the time he was just emulating what he heard out of Jamaica. But, you know, we sat down and I showed him, yo, this is a verse. This is a hook. This is how you structure a song, because I've been a student of the game growing up in dancehall culture, growing up around music with my pops having a record store, and my uncle owns a sound system in DC, the oldest sound system, Emperor. So I was real schooled in music, and I studied music business. Like I was the original CD cover reader, the credits, who's the executive producer, who made the beat, everything. So that's how the group came about. And Born Jamericans, the name is kind of just what we were, because his father is from Jamaica and his mom's is Puerto Rican. My mother and my father is Jamaican. So we didn't want to be out there trying to portray like, yo, you Jamaican or you faking or you trying to put on just to seem cool. Nah, we are Born Jamericans. We grew up in an American Jamaican household, and that's what we represent. Same way you have Puerto Ricans that have Puerto Rican mother and father but grew up in America, Dominican mother and father but grew up in America. So we just put the Jamaican stamp on our name, and that actually became our sound and our mantra. So that's how the group came about.
I mean, I think it's the perfect balance too, because you know you got the deep voice, you know what I mean? Y'all cool. I was trying to like mimic you. Y'all cool. The people want
more. The people want more. Yeah, man.
Yeah, and then like
you know, he got Jamaican roots for that.
Yeah. And then he got the high pitched singing song voice. You know what I mean? So I think it was the perfect balance for y'all. You know what I mean? What record was y'all peak? Was it y'all call? Was it you know what I mean? Boom Shakalaka? I mean Boom Shaka Tech, my bad. Yeah, you know what I mean? And then Some of Your Love, you got records, man. Like I got hits, man. Go check them out.
All our records kind of was peaks and valleys, because we were on an independent label called Delicious Vinyl. At the time, they were having a lot of success because it was Tone Loc, Wild Thing. They had Young MC, Busta Move. They had the Brand New Heavies, and they had the Far Side. She keeps on passing me by. So independent label out of California. But the lady that worked at the record label, her name is Leslie Cooney. She was into reggae, and she was trying to sign a reggae act from Jamaica, but she was having a lot of problems, because when you go to Jamaica as an American company, try to sign a Jamaican, they trying to get to the bag and get you out of there. That's just the culture. Right. So when our manager at the time, Kitson Walker, brought our demo to her, she loved the sound and loved the combination of the singing and the roughneck DJ, the light-skinned dude and the dark-skinned dude, the beauty and the beast aspect. She saw the marketability of us. So they gave us a single deal. Boom Shakata came out. That blew up. Then we got an album deal. And next thing I know, one year I'm home on the couch. The next year I'm on tour with Jamericans, going state to state, rocking stadiums.
Yo, man, how's Shabba doing? Like, Shabba still around kicking? I mean, I remember the 90s, you think about reggae, you think of Shabba, you think of y'all, you think of, Mad Lion. Like, kind of talk about, like, your peers, you know what I mean? Do you still have a relationship with them?
Me and Mad Lions are his brothers, man. Mad Lion, he came to me in a time of my life when the world was acting like they was done with me. And Mad Lion was like, yo, I see your talent. I know your talent. From the first day I met Mad Lion, he's like, yo, you need to establish some things on your own because you got talent. I see you in a group, but I don't know how long this group gonna last. So make sure you secure your bag. And we've had that brotherhood ever since, and that loyalty to one another ever since. So he's out there. You saw him on the BET Awards. He came out the Time Warp, still looking like the same Mud Lion from 1993. And he out here, he doing a lot of shows. Actually, him and KRS are on the 50th hip hop anniversary tour. So he been going to a lot of those dates. So big up to my big brother, Mad Lion. Shabba is out there. Patra is back out here. Yeah. Everybody that's worth their weight in gold from the 90s, from Little Vicious on up.
Oh, Little Vicious, one of my favorites. I want new girl. Like, yo, I'm telling you, reggae was killing it. Like, I mean, and like, when did that pivot change? You know what I mean? Like, and then kind of morphed into reggaeton and get to like, what we got now, and Afrobeats is starting to, leave its mark. And, how do you feel about that whole, like, I feel like Afrobeats in Jamaica, I know it's Africa and Jamaica, two different areas, but it feel like, kind of interconnected in a way, How do you feel about that?
I think the shift came in after a couple more people had success off of that hybrid sound. Jamaica never really embraced artists like ourselves that came from America and kind of had a hybrid. They were more into the hardcore dancehall, the Bounty Killers, the Beanie Mans, the Buju Bantans, the Sizzlers. That's Jamaican, dog art. And back then, it wasn't really cool to mix the brands, as they would say. Now it's the norm. So after the success of maybe like Sean Paul came through, then Shaggy with all his success going diamond, I think the shift in the paradigm was that there was no industry for dancehall because the artists that were signed wasn't putting up the numbers on the labels no more, because the Caribbean is not really a record buying public right there. They consume music and they set the trend for music, but they don't necessarily buy music. So when they started flipping reggae and dancehall into Spanish, you had a whole Spanish community and a whole buying public from Spain to Latin America to Puerto Rico. It's more rich Latin people than there are rich Caribbean people, you know? So they consumed the music and actually bought the product and made the streams go up. That's why reggaeton became what it is. Then you have now this ascension of Afrobeats with the same buy-in install fan base. So you got a place like Nigeria and Ghana and, you know, the whole of Africa is full of money. They got bread. All their kids went to Ivy League schools in Europe and America. So when they found a sound that made them cool to the Western world, of course it's going to take off. Whereas dancehall is from the Caribbean, small islands with small populations that don't have the money to buy music, can't get Spotify on their phone like us unless they got a US credit card. So the music suffered because there was no industry. You know, reggae is more touring, you know, merchandise. And if you get signed to a major label, then you got to kind of commercialize your sound and not be authentic to where you from to fit in and pull numbers like the rest of these genres that got a buy-in public. So it's crazy. So like, that's the transition.
I hear that. So like we're gonna bounce back and forth to like what you got going on currently, and you know, talk about like your great career, you know what I mean, in the 90s on up, you know what I'm saying? But like let's talk about the Grow record. Like I saw the video, talk about the treatment of that. You got any more, you know, projects coming down the pike, any more music, anything of that nature?
I mean, I'm working on the Grow EP right now. It's probably going to be first quarter of next year. The song itself the beat was sent to me by these producers from the internet, XI, big up to Bug, big up to Lorenz. And they sent me the track and I listened to it and the hook came to me. I demoed the hook and then I wrote the lyrics and I said, yeah, this is what I want to talk. I want to talk about the current state of dancehall because it ain't really what I grew up with. And I know music has to grow and transition, but it doesn't have to grow into something that no one recognizes. And a lot of times I hear from the DJs, yo, dancehall don't feel like, you know, the 90s, Buju Banton and Beanie Man, Bounty Killer. What's all it? It's mixed with all these different things. They look like trap artists from Atlanta now. What's going on? I thought Jamaica was Jamaica.
No, you always sound like drill rappers. That's crazy.
Yeah. So, but with the advent of the internet and everything like that, music is going to go in all type of different directions. It doesn't even matter where you're from. You can do whatever you want right now. So that's how the Grow record came about, was just me trying to restore the feeling and give like a wake-up call to the Caribbean that, hey, we losing this fight. Every day Spotify is taking down all the dancehall playlists, the reggae playlists. It's getting short right now. We starting to see other categories in the Grammys and things of that nature. But the Caribbean is still the biggest influence on music. How can you be this trendsetter and the biggest influence, but don't do the numbers like everybody else? Something has to be fixed. Something has to grow for the Caribbean. So that's what the song is about.
Man, that's crazy, man. I mean, you laid it all out there. That is crazy, like for real. So like, yo, is that your main message right now when you put out music? And how does that compare to the message you was putting out back in the 90s with Born Jamericans and all the music you did beforehand?
I mean, I always been putting the medicine and the dog food in my music, if you know that terminology. When a dog is sick, you can't give a dog a pill and he's just going to eat the pill. You got to put it in his dog food. And as he eats the dog food, he takes the medicine. So that's the kind of my mentality when I put out music, is that I always inject what's going on, you know. But that type of theme and those type of songs don't really get embraced by this new generation because they so caught up in the trap movement and the Marley movement and the girl doing whatever to the women movement. And that's what the consumers are in love with and infatuated with. The people that are into the Caribbean culture like that, that studies what's going on now. But overall, Jamaica and the Caribbean itself, very religious, very Afrocentric, very intelligent, very articulate people. So I want to hear more of that in the new music that's coming from the youth. And I want the DJs to play that type of music. But it seems like the DJs, if you ain't going negative and you ain't hardcore, they're not playing your music like that anymore. And it's real sad because it's hurting the economy of the Caribbean, because a lot of artists won't break unless they do the tomfoolery and do the social media antics, come up with a dance and all that. The Caribbean, not just dancing, smoking weed, and the things that people think. It's a lot more culture. It's a lot more heritage that people can learn from the Caribbean. And that's what I'm promoting in my music.
Man. So yeah, like, is there no, like, the next generation, like, under the radar? Like, you know, you describe everything that, you know, you thought about the whole game currently, but like, are there like a new generation of youngest who actually embody what you believe, you know what I mean, at all? Anybody want to shout out?
They out here, but I mean, like I said, none of them is really getting that spotlight on them, you know.
That push,
it's a lot of artists, you know. It's a lot of unknown artists. It's a lot of young artists. Like my producer, Rose Summers, he just produced a lot of tracks on Beanie Man new album. And I see it. I encounter those type of artists out there, but a lot of them, either they don't pull the numbers or they don't get the spotlight, because right now the Caribbean is all about the hype and what's going on with the kids. The kids is what's dictating the trends, and the kids is into the shock and awe. You can't really fight the youth. That's why I say in the song, you can't fight the youth, because them exist. They gotta exist. They gotta evolve and learn and do what they do. But a lot of the music that's coming out of Jamaica don't have a long shelf life right now, because it ain't talking about nothing. It's just to shock you, get you to do the dumb dance, get to go see them on a show a couple times, and then they got to make 10 more records. So,
and I think you can apply that to I think you can apply that to music in general nowadays. Like, everybody got a short attention span. Like, people don't sit with records no more. People don't sit with albums no more. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just this, you know, ADD thing we got going on in music right now. You know what I'm saying?
It's crazy right now, man. I just pray that we could make another Bob Marley. We could make another Peter Tosh. We could make somebody that have an impact and shift the culture and kind of wake up this Generation X and be like, yo, still have your fun, still talk your crap, but make a significant impact, because you only get a short window to be on top in the music game. And what you put out there is what's going to be your permanent stamp and your legacy, you know. And think of all the songs that's #1 right now. Suppose that's their time stamp and their legacy. They're going to look at themselves like they crazy when they get to my age.
I mean, half this year, like, they made a note that, like, hip hop didn't even chart #1 in Billboard in like 30 years. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That hurt my soul hearing that. You know, I mean, I think we eventually got to that point. But like, we were speaking about the new generation and everything, and how have they been receiving your message, your music? You know, are you getting love, or you getting pushed back? You know what I mean? Because, you know, you a veteran in the game and everything. Like, you know, how they been receiving your music?
I get love from all the artists because they seen the work. You're talking about 30 years of work of them either hearing blips and blurbs about me as an independent artist right now, or back when I was signed, and them seeing the movement that was Born Jamericans. Born Jamericans was a movement from those 5 years and those 2 albums that we put out. We impacted the Caribbean very much. And a lot of what you hear right now are students and disciples of the sound that we, you know, innovated at the time. So it's always respect and it's always love. A lot of the DJs, I've had DJs tell me, yo, your record is dope. And under any other circumstances, I will be playing this 10 times a day. But it doesn't fit the format of what's going on right now. And the 2 reggae songs that's occupying the playlist or the space is what the kids want to hear. And I got to go with what has the numbers. So I'm fighting an algorithm. It's me against the algorithm to make my song hot. So it is what it is. That's the game.
So, yo, what made y'all take a kind of a break, a hiatus? You know, I want to phrase it right. You know what I mean? I don't know your whole story. That's why I'm asking that. You know,
we broke up. We broke.
I mean, did y'all have a riff? Y'all had a beef or something? And
at the time, it was just like a lot of label politics. You know, a lot of us growing apart, and a lot of things that just couldn't be mended. And over the years, you know, it's been times I felt like the fence could be mended. And I know we have a lot of diehard fans that grew up with the group and want the group to reemerge and do something big. But me, as a grown man at this time, I don't want to lie to the fans of Born Jamericans and tell them I'm in a space where I will even entertain that. Our relationship is unrepairable. So the group is those 2 albums and the music, which I still perform the music. So it lives with me. Whatever the other member wants to do with that, he can do with that, or he can bury it. But Born Jamericans will always be alive as long as I got breath in my body. And that's what I can say to the fans.
Yeah. Let's talk about like your global impact. You know, I mean, y'all was at your height. Y'all was out here. Y'all was on BT Rap City. Y'all was everywhere with it. You know what I mean? But like, talk about your global impact.
Yeah. I mean, I always get texts from Africa. I always get texts from South America. I always get texts everywhere. You know, the video for Grow was shot in Ecuador. I headlined the festival in Ecuador, and then I stayed a couple extra days and shot the video because I was like, yo, it's too much scenery and too much architect here for me to not capture this moment because I don't know if I'll ever be back here again. So the Grow video was shot in Quito, Ecuador, the capital, with one of the highest point, if not the highest point in the world. The elevation is crazy there. So that was the world embraced and loved Born Jamericans. I could honestly say our name is a household name in the reggae diaspora in the Caribbean. I just took the family to Trinidad on vacation, and you know, this was the first time I stayed in a neighborhood in Trinidad and just was just like a regular civilian, because all the other times it was a show, go to the hotel, do the show, go back to the hotel, go to the airport, leave. But I actually got to spend time, and I'm walking through the neighborhood and still hearing people 30 years later playing our music on the radio in their car. Right. And some people will recognize me like, yo, you look a little bigger, but you look like the dude from Born Jamericans. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. He's like, what are you doing in Trinidad, Jed? And I'm just like, I'm here chilling, man. I got family. And it's the embracement of people when I go different places, just let me know that, yeah, the music we made had a big impact, and still to this day is impactful.
A lot of fans like to live vicariously through people they're fans of. Like, yo, what was like the craziest show, venue you ever did, concert y'all did, whatever, like, you know, kind of give us some of those, like, you know, stories that y'all hype.
Probably another a great example of that, and it's on YouTube. We did a festival, one of the rare moments where we actually put it back together and did a show together. Mm-hmm. This was like maybe 2016, Hip Hop Al Parquet in Bogota, Colombia, and it's in a park. And man, just to see like a whole city come out to see this group that they never seen perform together before, and us doing the records. And now you got to understand, we in Colombia, we in Bogota, they don't speak English, and we doing patois over hip hop.
I bet you know all the words though.
We know all the words to all the songs. The song we were talking about before we went on air, Wherever We Go, anthem. Yep. Run off like it sold 20 million copies. It was just incredible, man. Like, those feelings is something that I take with me to my grave. And I just know that the spirit that's in me, the songwriting and the ability of what I'm able to project, I know that is something special. That's why I don't never let anything devalue me. I don't let this social media, how much followers I got, how many Spotify listeners I got, none of that matters to me, because I know I've seen with my own eyes the impact that the music that I make has. So that's good enough for me. That's my algorithm.
Hey, yo, how would y'all would have how would y'all dealt with social media in the 90s? Always wanted that. Always like, yo, all right, Michael Jordan had to deal with social media. You know what I mean? Yo, Biggie, Pac, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can remember meeting Tupac. I was at the Spa Club in DC, and I'm walking through the club. It was like one of those weekends, Howard Homecoming or something. If you know about DC and Howard Homecoming, everybody from the industry is in DC at that moment. And I'm walking through the club, and I feel somebody tap me on my shoulder, and I look, and it's Tupac. And at the time, I think Brenda's Had a Baby just came out, and he said, "Yo, ain't you that Jamaican artist?" And I was like, yeah, man. He's like, yo, I F with y'all, man. Y'all is y'all sound, man. Y'all got this unique sound. And he was just, I'm like, man, I ain't know what Tupac was going to be at that time. I knew he was a big deal from the Digital Underground and all that. But to watch somebody that was an admirer of me and what I do become this world icon where people got his picture on the side of a wall. I go to the favelas in Colombia and see pictures of Tupac in there. Yeah. Those type of things resonate with me. That's another one of my algorithms that tap me on the shoulder, say, Edley, don't worry about anything, man. You keep doing what you're doing.
No, that's fine. I mean, you mentioned Pop, like you, Michael Jackson. You know what I mean? Biggie. You got any stories with them too? Like talk about some of your like I made moments where it's like, I'm here.
Man,
you know
I had so many moments and met so many people that are icons, from like being at the Notting Hill Festival in England and standing on the stage, and they like, yo, Jay-Z and Dame Dash is performing before you. And this one, Reasonable Doubt. This is the summer that Reasonable Doubt came out. Yeah. So we look, and I dapped up Dame and I dapped up Jay-Z, and he goes on the stage and rips it. You know, being at a radio show in San Diego, and Matthew Knowles comes in our dressing room and says, yo, my daughters want to meet you. And we like, who is your daughters? And at the time, this is their first single. And in comes Destiny Child. And Beyonce says, yo, I love you guys. I love dancehall and reggae. I'm going to make a reggae song one day. And to watch her become Queen Bee, it's crazy. Like during my come up in the game and just being around and seeing all these people get introduced to the culture and what they became, just let me know that, hey, I did something great in my life, and I touched a lot of corners of the world. So don't never negate that. Don't never water that down. Absolutely.
Yeah, yo, we here with Edley Shine right here. Born Jamericans. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to say about these guys, man. Like they been through it. You know what I mean? They did it all. What you got moving forward? You know, let's talk about. Again, I told you I was gonna go back and forth between, like, you know what I mean, the past and what you got going on.
No problem.
You know what I'm saying? Like outside of music, you know, I ask this question a lot to people because, like, you know, you gotta have a bunch of different ways to make money out here, or, you know, get popping out here. Like outside of like you doing your music, you got anything else going on?
Well, I do a lot of computer work. I got my own computer business. I got my studio. I'm about to start doing consultation for young artists. That's something I'm really passionate about, because it's a lot of snake oil salesmen out here that's really gaffling these young artists, and I hate to see it. So, you know, even though the information is out there on the internet, I want all my young artists, even my trap artists that got the bag and can spin the bag with certain people, be careful who you employ and who you get. Do your research on people and learn what they have to offer, and have your business intact and have your business set up the right way, because this game will drain you dry and leave you on the corner with nothing, you know. And what they use is your fame. They use your passion to want to be successful in life against you. So you have to be up on the game and know all the crevices and corners and the tricks and the trades in order to really get somewhere. And this is outside of just being a dope artist and actually having talent. The business side of it is crazy. So I want to try to be a conduit and an information guideline highway for young artists that's willing to listen to what I got to say.
Hey, like I'm not in the Cowman's pockets, man, but like, yo, back in the 90s, you hear horror stories about how people got screwed out of deals. Like, I just want to know, were y'all treated well, or, you know, you got your complaints about how they did business back in the 90s and all that?
All I can say, we were treated by the standards of what the music industry was in the 90s, which was, as you see what Diddy just did, and that would look how long ago that was, and they just did. So for us, it was the same thing. You had to get down or lay down to have the opportunity to be out here in the world, and those people don't play fair, man. It's just is what it is, and you know, now it's kind of different, because back then you needed a record company to project your music out there, get you on radio, get you publicity and all that. Now you got the internet, so you could become a superstar and go to a label and have all the leverage and tell them what you want your deal to be. So it's a different ball game at the moment, but you still got the snake oil salesman out there that will put you in that 360 and tie you up and have all your music, and you doing all this hard work but getting jerked. Don't be that guy. Not in 2023. It's too much information out here now. Yeah.
I wanted this, like, so when you guys actually split, you know, what did you do in between, and then like what made you get back on the scene doing your solo music and all that?
Well, in 1998, when we split up, the label decided to drop me, but they kept the singer. So he did what he did with them, And I was just out here. That's why me and Mad Lion got such a great relationship, because KRS-One had become vice president of black music at Warner Brothers. And Mad Lion had got a situation over there. So Lion was like, yo, Edley, you got all the ideas. You a dope writer. Won't you come over here and just work with me on this project? You know, that'll keep the lights on while you try to figure out what's going on with your situation. So I was out in LA working for a good 5 years with Mad Lion. He dropped the album. It came out. It was called Predator or Prey for Warner Brothers. And then that situation dissolved. And then I had to figure it out again, because then again, there's no group. Can't book a show because I don't have a group. And all the promoters was like, we want the group. So I had to try to figure out a way to establish my own. Went to Jamaica, tried to do some music down there. They was like, you Edley from Born Jamericans, you're a multi-millionaire, 10 million per track. They was not trying to hear anything else, no sob story from me. So I came back home and I said, I got to build my own empire and have my own. It's the only way I'm gonna get to put music out. So it took a long time for me to get to this point now where I got my studio, I got my own cameras, I got my production team. I'm able to hire PR like Grung Cake and have them, you know, project my music out to people. And things like that. It take an investment, it take a sacrifice, it take understanding from your family. This music thing is a passion for me. It's not necessarily my day-to-day living off of music, but the passion of making music and getting my ideas out and spreading my message. That's the most important thing to me.
All right. So, yo, whenever I have, like, you know, rappers on, I'm like, yo, who's your top 5 that are alive? All right. Dancehall, reggae, you know, who's your top 5 in that realm?
Dancehall and reggae, top 5. It's definitely Jamericans. Definitely KRS-One. Definitely, Buju Banton, Bounty Killer, Beanie Man. Those are like people that really let me know that what I do at a high level, you gotta have a high skill set, be articulate, have those dope pockets and those dope melodies. Like, they showed me that, because I saw them and all these people that I'm mentioning, I saw them from the incubation stage when they weren't popular yet. And I watched their ascension, even the artists from Jamaica, and making it from Jamaica, one of the hardest. It's harder than making it in New York. If you could please Jamaican people, you could please anybody in the world, because they are the harshest critics, and they will throw a bottle on you on stage if they don't like you. So you gotta know what you're doing with them. So that's my top 5, you know.
Okay.
And just my fam, my big brother, Mad Lion, all the people that surround me. Big up to Shinehead. I got so much inspirational people that I pull from when I need that energy. Shout out to my young producer in Jamaica, Rose Summers. He's another very talented artist. Go check him out. That people need to learn and know these people, because they keys to this game for sure.
Yeah, so like I got your record queued up. We got the Grow record. We about to play that, and then we're gonna play some Born Jamerican records right after that. You know what I mean?
Let's do it.
Little triple play. But anything else you want to say to the people before we wrap this thing up, man?
Yo, I just want everybody to follow me on social media, EDLEYSHINE_official. Everything. I'm on TikTok, Threads, X, anywhere you name it. And go check out my music. Go check out my YouTube, Edley Shine Vivo. The Grow video is up there, as well as a slew of classic music. And I want to big up all of the Born Jamaican fans. Big up to every yard man where I listen to interview. Yeah, I'm going to give you the Yankee side, but this is the Jamaican side I talk now. Yeah. Big up on yourself. Big up every trench, every gully, every Gaza. You don't know. And the big voice, Edley Shine.
You don't know. I want to say it right. You don't know. But
that is it.
I one more question before you bounce though. Like, yo, I felt like, because you mentioned KRS-One when we was talking about like who's your top 5, right?
Right.
Like, yo, do you feel like you can out rap rappers though? Like, all right, I mean, you go in your pocket, your reggae pocket, and you might harmonize and do your thing to make your music sound how I sound. Like, I'm just talking about bars though. You ever try to bar somebody up? Can you like rap?
I do what I do. I wouldn't say I'm really a barsmith like that, but I get busy. You know, I've stood on stages with KRS-One, who's a barsmith, who will bar down anybody I know. You know, and a lot of the new music that you're hearing in dancehall right now is very bar heavy. A lot of metaphors, a lot of similes, a lot of double entendres. You may not catch all the slangs and they flowing how they flowing, and the accent might throw you off. But if you really listen to the lyrics, you know, a dude like Vybz Kartel is amazing lyrically, and the concepts and the styles and how he switches up his voice. Those are the things that Jamaicans introduced to the culture and to the music industry that a lot of people use now in the hip hop world, in the pop world, and all over. So yeah, every artist should feel confident about their artistry, and I know that I'm one of them ones. You don't need to tell me.
You one of them ones, I. So, Edley Shine, man, I appreciate you, man, for checking in with us, man. Born Jamericans, legendary, but he's doing his own thing right now. You guys, record growing.
Absolutely.
We about to play that right now, and again, man, I appreciate you, bro. I'm gonna cue your record up. I know you already kind of gave your socials, man, but like, you know, I think you talk for like 5 or 10 seconds while I cue your record up.
Yo, big up to the whole 92 WZUP. You don't know the whole of Connecticut, worldwide, all over. This is the big voice, Edley Shine. And you don't know this the new single, Grow. Go run it up.
You don't know.